Jamaica's 2023-2024 Building Code. Seismic gaps. Insights for homeowners and renters. A geologist's perspective. Now, Jamaica has two building codes, a national building code as well as small buildings slash residential building code. My focus is on the small buildings slash residential building code. Now, the building code of Jamaica is very extensive, and I give a round of applause to all of the stakeholders and professionals involved. So, Jamaica's building codes are developed by the International Code Council as well as the Bureau of Standards Jamaica. And again, it's very well done. There are gaps, however, and my area specifically I'm making reference to is in the seismics slash the seismic data that is referenced in the code. Now, before I touch on this area, I want to first bring up the speed with what the building code is. The Jamaica Small Building Residential Code establishes minimum requirements for 1 and 2 family dwellings. It seeks to facilitate the construction of mostly reinforced concrete buildings, which will withstand sustained hurricane winds up to Category 5 and earthquakes up to magnitude 6.5. In order to ensure that organizations with a direct and material interest in the codes have a voice, the BSJ writes to representatives of organizational bodies. Now, in this case, a pivotal or critical organization was not involved in the development of this code. And this organization I speak of is the Geological Society of Jamaica. And in referencing the article of focus, what it leads me to infer is that the reason why the Geological Society of Jamaica is not involved is because as a body, it pretty much is non-existent. It's a weak body. So I am referencing the specifics of the current building code, whereby, as I have mentioned, no geologist, neither the Geological Society of Jamaica, is highlighted or mentioned, specific towards the building for resilience or resistance in the case or in the event of a magnitude 6.5 earthquake. It is mind-boggling to say the least that you will be incorporating data towards establishing the code without engaging with the professionals specific for the area. Know this: the scope of a geologist is different than that of an engineer. Geologists are scientists who study the earth, its history, nature, materials, and processes. They are also people who study the human impact on the earth system, according to the American Association of Geosciences. Engineers are trained professionals who follow scientific principles, design new tools and machines, and build. In practice, engineers look at the world and think about how to make it better. Southern New Hampshire University website. Both the geologist and engineer can have overlap in their scope as well as their training through their tertiary education curricula. However, in the specification of it all, the geologists provide the engineers with the data and the engineers build specific to the data. So if in the context of the seismics, the data provided or used by the engineers is obsolete or is not at the highest standard, then it can affect the building code in essence. The mean earthquake ground velocity parameters established for Jamaica as highlighted in the building code, in a nutshell, says that the highest shaking will be experienced within the Portland region, specifically areas that include Albany or areas that are situated within the Portland geologic block. Now, this is also saying that areas such as the Kingston metropolitan area and Portmore, which are situated on alluvium and also have a relatively high water table, what they are basically saying is that these areas will experience less shaking relative to the Blue Mountain block, which is where Portland is located. This is very hard to digest. Keep in mind that the history highlights that Kingston has experienced sinking in the past due to magnitude 6 and over earthquakes. The 1692 earthquake of Port Royal is basically what it is that we can use as reference. So just on that basis alone, this map is highly erred, and it is pretty much a case where we need to address this issue and seek consult with the geologists. The geologists themselves need to be more vociferous in making their voices be heard as one body, because in this situation of mention, because of the fact that there exists nobody in the form of the Geological Society of Jamaica, this is why there are these gaps that can arise. The Geological Society of Jamaica, as an example, serves as a watchdog. And keep in mind that as scientists, the purpose should be to present accurate data based on continuous research, not data based on research that is relatively outdated. So, on a whole, to the geologists, to the engineers, to all the stakeholders involved in updating Jamaica's building code, the geologists, in the case of the seismic design, must be consulted continuously.